Guys, quick live stream. We're going to go through some bets on PrizePicks. So we had a pretty bad beat. This play I gave out on a live stream. I don't remember, maybe a couple days ago, Joe Mixon to not score a touchdown. Obviously, the Bengals couldn't do anything, but Mixon still managed to score a touchdown. So this play ended up losing. But regardless, what we're going to do is we can just find some plays for tomorrow. So books are starting to drop. There's a shit ton of NBA games tomorrow, and there's some pretty good plays. So I'm going to keep this pretty brief. I always try to focus on the main books, PrizePicks, Underdog Fantasy, Fliff, stuff like that. These books that are available in a lot of states. And without further ado, we can kind of get into it. So again, the way that PrizePicks works, right? When you're betting on a traditional sports book like Fliff, you see a bunch of numbers, right? Plus 495, plus 230. There's a bunch of odds, a bunch of numbers, which is probably why PrizePicks is so, popular. Is it's really simple. So the way that PrizePicks works is they have fixed payouts, right? So like any 5-pick entry you create, this is the payout you're getting. Doesn't matter if you take a homie to go over, under, doesn't matter if you switch him to a different player, like you always get the same payout. So basically the entire platform boils down to what percentage of your picks can you win. You want to win, the highest percentage of your picks possible. Like they're always giving you the same damn payout. So you just want to find the picks that are most likely to win. And how do we do that? Well, we follow data. So if we go here to OddsJam, you can see Harrison Barnes, right? This is a great example of a bet that I already went with for tomorrow, but just kind of as an example, or if you like it, you can see he had 3 threes last game. Again, this isn't that valuable. Historical data, like everything's baked into the market. The odds that sportsbooks are putting out, that encompasses injuries, lineups, everything. So I don't really look at these historical graphs. They're just not useful, right? Everything's baked into the market. The same way if you think about the price of a stock, like if Facebook is doing well, if they're making a lot of money, if they're, whatever, like it's all baked into the stock price. How valuable is the company? Like everything's reflected in the market. So you can see for tomorrow, Harrison Barnes is heavily favored to go under, right? All the books. It's not just one book. I mean, FanDuel has his under a little more favored than like Pinnacle, Bet Online, but all these books have his under around like minus 140, minus 145. So all these books are telling us, he's a lot more likely to go under 1.5 threes as opposed to over. But anyways, maybe we start with Underdog actually, because it seems like the top play was on Underdog, and I did just lock in a play on PrizePicks. So the first play that looks pretty good, and you can see lines are moving a bit. So this is just the OddsJam positive expected value tool, positive EV tool. And Underdog Fantasy is the same way. Really, the only difference between these platforms is they have slightly different payouts. So on PrizePicks, any 3-pick entry you create, so any 3-leg parlay you make, you're getting a 5x payout. So you're putting down 20 to win 100. On Underdog, it's a 6x payout, 50 to win 300. So the payouts on Underdog Fantasy are a little bit higher. So in general, when I'm playing on Underdog, I'm playing a lot of 3-pick entries, or you want to play 5 picks with insurance, but fuck it, whatever, you get the point. So the first play we want to go with is Wilson over 5.5. Let's go here. Take a sip of my wine. So good. So the first play we want to go with is Wilson over 5.5 receptions. Again, like Underdog Fantasy, it's honestly crazy if you think about it. Like these are different bets. You take the over, you take the under. It doesn't fucking matter. They give you the same payout regardless. You're always getting a 3x payout for 2-pick entries. I'm not playing a 2-pick entry, but just, that's what they give you for 2-pick entries. But anyways, like you can see here, all the books, and Pinnacle is known to be the sharpest bookmaker. Like some sports books are known to be, smarter. They're available in more locations, more countries. They allow pretty high betting limits. All this stuff makes the markets more efficient. And Pinnacle right here is known to be one of the sharpest, smartest sports books with the most accurate lines. And you're going to see they have Garrett Wilson as a minus 178, huge favorite to go over, right? So all these books, Caesars, they only have the over as a minus 137 favorite, so not as big as Pinnacle. But all these books are like, Garrett Wilson's a lot more likely to go over. So it's like, okay, that seems like a good pick to go with on Underdog Fantasy. There's also, these esports plays, there's always so much esports value, which is crazy if you think about it. It's the last sport you'd think of betting on. Like everyone thinks, oh, the NFL is so popular. It's the best sport to bet on. No, the NFL is only 1 day a week, basically. There was one game tonight. Whereas you think about esports, these guys go hard. There's like 50 esports games a day, So it's crazy how many, like Underdog Fantasy has thousands of esports lines up. All of these books are setting their own lines. They're setting lines independently. And, that just means more games means more opportunity. But anyways, this first play is Bibu under 16.5. This is what OddsJam's recommending. We take Bibu under 16.5 headshots. So if you look at PrizePicks, right, they have us line at 14.5, which is fucking crazy if you think about it, right? Like imagine seeing Anthony Davis rebounds at 14.5 on Underdog or 16.5 on Underdog, 14.5 on PrizePicks. Like that's a big discrepancy, It's only in esports, this random sport where there tends to be these crazy big discrepancies, but you only have 2 data points, right? So like if you look here at OddsJam at the Fantasy Optimizer, which just shows you line discrepancies on whatever book you're looking at, like there's only 2 books currently posting headshot lines, something I never thought I'd be betting on. But there's only 2 books currently posting headshot lines on Bibu, right? It's Underdog Fantasy and it's PrizePicks. So it's not really clear like which book is right, which one is wrong. So what you could do is you could middle bet this. You could hit the under 16.5 on Underdog Fantasy, and you could hit the over 14.5 on PrizePicks. If he has 15 or 16, you'll win both bets. That's middle betting. That's called a middle bet. Over 14.5, under 16.5. But anyways, so we'll skip over those 2 plays. Anything with 1 data point, it's kind of like, fuck it. Like, let's skip that over. But if we go here to Addict, let's take a look at this. Esports has a lot of value, so don't overlook it. So if you look at this player, again, you don't have as many data points as like, let's say the NFL. When we talk about the NFL, there are billions of dollars being bet, right? Like these markets are very active, People, like there are literal companies, hedge funds created to bet on sports and create, like the markets are very active for main market NFLs, money lines, stuff like that. So like, there's a ton of books posting odds. You have a ton of data points on where the line should be set. Whereas in esports, there's really only like 5-6 books posting lines. But regardless, you take a look here at this player Addict. PrizePicks has this line at 35. Whoa, shoot. We're looking at Underdog Fantasy. I apologize. Underdog Fantasy has his line at 34. All the other books have his line higher. And again, even if you only used Underdog Fantasy, some people will be like, why do I give a shit about PrizePicks if I don't use PrizePicks? And again, it's a source of information. Pinnacle, it's not available in the US. Like I can't bet on Pinnacle. I've never placed a bet on Pinnacle, but it's known to be the sharpest bookmaker. So you want to put weight into their odds. You always want to know before you're placing a bet, where does Pinnacle have their line set? What are their odds? But anyways, like Underdog's too low relative to the market, hit the over, that seems like a good play with an edge. Finding value, it's the core of profitable sports betting. Every investor, day trader is looking for value. Like this isn't shocking. If you want to make money in any market, sports betting, finance, like you got to get an edge. You got to find value in the market. If you're getting ripped off, like if you're taking Addict under 34, when a bunch of other books are offering his line at like, 36, 35 half, you just know you're getting ripped off and you're never going to make money if you're betting under 34. when other books are offering 35 half. And again, like none of this shit really matters if you're only placing like one bet a day or one bet a week on your favorite team for $20, right? But like if you're looking to take sports betting seriously and make money, you got to find value. Nobody wins every day. It's all about getting an edge over the books and winning long term. Anyways, so it's like, okay, like, fuck, where did that play on Addict go? I think they just removed it. So a lot of these lines move quickly. So you look at Ral's 26, 24, 24 half. So I'll try to move quickly. And you can see Underdog Fantasy. I mean, this is really what sucks about sports betting, you know, max of $20. Earlier this morning, I was able to hit shit for $50. My limits just keep coming down. They're just like, you know, they don't like smarter. They don't like people who know what they're doing. But anyways, Sprouts or Rouse's line is 26 on Underdog. All the other books have them 24, 24 half. It's like, okay, like not that complicated. Take the under. Exit under 27 and a half. So we want to go with the second game. And it's like, okay, that seems like a great play. Shit. And then what else do we have? I mean, there's some more esports plays. Again, the more data points, the better. So like you can see for both of those two, we just hit or put in our parlay. There's, you know, 3 data points or 4. So less data points is obviously worse. You know, you want to have high confidence that the bet you're placing has an edge, that the line is too high, too low, that you're getting value on your play. So the more data points you have, obviously, the better. But anyways, let's go back here. And we want under 31. So one random, I mean, sometimes these slips, they're just, you know, they just turn out to seem like the most random thing of all time. But if that's where the value is, that's where we'll be placing bets. So we can go here, and then we want over 31 at over 31 half. I apologize. Like these guys go really hard. I mean, they have double headers all the time. So when you're betting on esports, just make sure you're playing the right game, because again, they have a lot of double headers. So the optimal slip type, I play a lot of 3-pick entries on Underdog. But if you can find a lot of value, like obviously it's easier to find 3 good picks on Underdog as opposed to 5. But, you know, on days where there's a lot of sports, the books are asleep. Esports lines are coming out. There's a ton of NBA tomorrow. Like there's going to be a lot of opportunities today. We want to go with 5-pick entries with insurance. Or not, if you can find 5 picks, you'd prefer it's marginal, but like 5-pick entries with insurance are pretty good. So here's what we can go with. And again, like I have a bunch of videos on YouTube, whatever, kind of breaking down the math behind Underdog Fantasy. Like how does this platform work? How do they pay out? Stuff like that. And essentially like for these 5-pick entries, where is it? With insurance, if you can win your picks, for 3-pick entries, it's like 55%. Again, for 5-pick insured, it's slightly better. But if you can win your over-unders, right? So if you can win your prop bets, just like Wilson, right? If you can win these bets, where are you, Garrett Wilson? So if you can win these over-unders, just like Garrett Wilson, over-under 5.5 receptions, you know, if you can get your picks right above 54.749% of the time, you're going to be profitable. But that's not like easy to do. A lot of people are like, fuck, I can do that. But it's not easy, right? You got to win like 57% of your picks, meaning you only lose 43% of your picks. So why is this play on, you know, Garrett Wilson winning above 54.749% of the time? Well, look at sports books. All the books have his over at like, you know, minus 150, minus 160. So he's a big favorite to go over. And again, like every odd has an associated probability. So that may be a little confusing, but like there's a difference between a minus 200 favorite and a minus 140 favorite, right? Like Pinnacle has the over, a sharper book, a pretty smart sports book. They have his over at minus 178. So DraftKings has his over favored minus 135, but not as favorite as Pinnacle, minus 178. So, like, there's different levels of favorites. And again, on Underdog, you got to win your bets. Your player prop over-under is about 54.749% of the time to be profitable. Is, like, if you could find plays that were minus 200, that's a different story, right? Minus 200 means a 2-to-1 betting favorite, 2/3 to win. Betting 200 to win 100. The book is saying it's 2/3 to win, right? Minus 300 is a 3-to-1 betting favorite, 3/4 to win, 75% to win. But anyways, let's reload this. And again, these betting limits suck, but so here it's like a bunch of 1 data points. Could middle bet this, right? Fossil. Not a bad option. Like, you could include under 19.5 in an underdog slip, and then in a PrizePicks slip, you could include, over 17.5. It just kind of depends. Just depends what you're feeling. Some people love middle betting because, then you have a fun sweat on. You're hoping the Fossil guy, you hit him under 19.5, over 17.5. You're hoping he has exactly 18 or 19. Kind of fun. Anyways, let's go. Yeah, there's just a lot of fucking sports. Oh, man. A lot of sports, a lot of early NBA value. It's just like, oh my gosh. It's like, you guys are killing me. Not trying to let me sleep. But, and you never know. I always recommend get as many bucks as possible, like this ParlayPlay platform. A lot of people would be like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I already used PrizePicks. Why would I get ParlayPlay? And it's like, well, first of all, it takes a minute to sign up and they give you $100 for free. You put in $100, you get 100 for free. Like, if $100, like, I'll sign up for any fucking sports book. It literally takes 2 seconds. A lot of these books I don't use frequently, but I've signed up for over 50 books. Every book you can imagine. I will sign up for ESPN Bet. I'm not in a state that has ESPN legal. ESPN just launched a book. But I can promise you, whenever I'm in a state that has ESPN, the book, legal, I'm going to sign up. I'm going to rip the bonus, right? I'm going to take advantage of it. It's free money. All these books with their sign-up bonuses. And then you just want to bet on books that have, more opportunity on a given day. But anyways, let's go back here. So Trae Young, for example, it's like, shit, like, why should I use ParlayPlay? And it's like, well, again, sometimes PrizePicks doesn't have much value. Like, all the books have Trae Young's line at 27.5 points plus rebounds. ParlayPlay, like, you have dozens of data points. If you think your gut is so smart, right? Like, you're like the 99.9% of other bettors who lose to the books. Everyone who's losing, right, in general, like, just thinks they can outsmart the market with their gut, with their sports intuition. Like, if you want to beat the books, it's not that hard. This data's right here. All you got to do is, like, follow it and, like, not get emotionally involved, But anyways, should we build a PrizePicks slip or should we build a ParlayPlay slip? So we can start to build a ParlayPlay slip. So let's take Trae Young under 28.5 points plus rebounds. So then it's like, okay, Dak's line, we can just like, it's like, okay, like, it seems so random sometimes. Oh, you're a G. Like people would be like, oh, what a great call. You took Dak over 21.5, passing completions. And it's like, oh, like, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate when my bets win. But it's not like, I did some genius shit or anything like that. It's just like, I find a bunch of plays with an edge, then I let the math work itself out. Dak Prescott, all the books have his line at 22.5. PrizePicks, the other fantasy sites that work just like ParlayPlay. ParlayPlay is very similar. They have fixed payouts, just like PrizePicks and Underdog. They give you the same payout. You take Dak's over, you get a 3x payout. You take his under, you get a 3x payout. You take his over. So we want to take the over because that's a heavily favored outcome. But anyways, we'll go to PrizePicks here in a second. But it's like, okay, like, awesome. Anyways, we're talking about a lot of the same concepts over and over and over. But, I mean, education really is the key to beating the books. So next we want Travis Etienne under 24.5. John Collins under 8.5 rebounds. You know, we're not doing anything super complicated here. Bryce Young. So this plays in the Cowboys game, right? I already have a play on the Cowboys game, so they're not going to let me bet this. Or if they do, they'll like fucking give me a worse payout. Like ParlayPlay, it's hard to include picks in the same game. They, in general, just kind of like lower your payouts. So we have an esports play. Maisie under 32.5. Cario Santos over 5.5 kicking points. So 7-pick entries are a little better than 6-pick insured entries. But 7-pick entries have a lower max bet size. So it's kind of up to you to, you know, think about how many picks you want to go with. 7-pick entries are like slightly better. But it's kind of like on Underdog. 5-pick insured entries are slightly better. Anyways, we have Dobbs under 232.5 passing yards. All the other books have his line lower with the under favored. So we're just kind of following this data in the market to find a bunch of picks with an edge. So here we go. 75x payout. So they recently changed their payouts. So I haven't played a lot of these 7-pick entries, but we did almost hit one. We went 6 for 7 on a play that we gave out like a few days ago. But anyways, so we can go back here to PrizePicks. And again, like there's some good middling opportunities. So PrizePicks, they don't have the play on Garrett Wilson, right? Like we got a great value bet right here on Garrett Wilson. If you only use PrizePicks, the line's not available. You can't get Garrett Wilson over 5.5, receptions. It's not available. So again, the more books, you kind of use, the better. I kind of bounce around from book to book. I'll check out the arbitrage tool. I actually hit this arbitrage bet earlier. So arbitrage is when books have such different odds. You can bet the over on one book, the under on another book, and make a risk-free profit. So like here, there's this huge discrepancy between Fliff and FanDuel. And FanDuel had the over at plus 480. Right? So this was the arbitrage bet I think I locked in. So if we go here to Fliff, what did I lock in? So yeah, Joshua Kelly to not score a touchdown minus 375. And then on FanDuel, they had him up at plus 480. So Fliff has a max bet size of 250. So you just kind of follow the calculator, right? And, regardless of if he scores or doesn't score, due to this massive discrepancy in odds, you're going to win $12.07. It's kind of like if you could buy a stock at 375 and sell it on a different platform at 460. It's literally free money. Arbitrage betting is how I started sports betting. It's just a hustle game. However much time you put in is however much money you're going to make, right? So we have Kelly, TD, and then we have Kelly, no TD. And real quickly, we can just go through the math. So you don't have to follow the calculator exactly. You can always round your numbers. So again, FanDuel had this plus 480 when I bet it. I give it out on Twitter. So it's telling us to bet 54.60. So you can round your numbers if you want to, but I'm not going to do that. Just for the sake of example, let's say we don't round our numbers. So there's two options, right? We're always going to win one bet, lose one bet. So if he scores, our bet on FanDuel wins, our bet on Fliff loses. 250 is the max bet size allowed on Fliff, so that's all I played it for. If he doesn't score, my bet on Fliff wins, my bet on FanDuel loses. So if he scores a touchdown, right? Let's go through the profit real quick. If he scores a touchdown, I lose 250 on Fliff. On FanDuel, I'm up 54.60 times 4.8. 262. I make $11 net profit. If he doesn't score a touchdown, I lose $54.60 on FanDuel. On Flip, I go up 250 times 100 over 375, $67. So that's what the arbitrage calculator is doing. No matter what happens, if he scores, if he doesn't score, literally doesn't matter. You make a risk-free profit of $12 regardless. You make risk-free money regardless, profit of $12. But anyways, let's go back here to PrizePicks. So again, I kind of use a bunch of books, traditional sports books, like FanDuel and Flip. I use these. I use, these DFS fixed payout platforms like PrizePicks. And again, we're just looking for a bunch of bets with an edge. I mean, not that complicated. So you can see there's a lot of good options. You can always skip over plays you don't like, but you can see here, Puka under 5.5 receptions. All the books have his under heavily favored, right? Pinnacle, Caesars, DraftKings, like every single book, all these books. And a lot of people will be like, oh, well, what if his over should be favored? What if the books are wrong? Well, again, this is a market. It's kind of like whatever that economist said, like if there's $20 bill on the ground for too long, it's probably not a real $20 bill. The market's not stupid. If there was opportunity, sharp bettors, like if his over should be favored, and every sharp bettor with their own model was like, oh, I think his over should be favored, they'd all bet the over and books would move lines towards the over. You can see books just dropped odds for the Rams game, it looks like. Rams, for a lot of the games on Sunday, a lot more lines start coming out after Thursday Night Football. So books are starting to drop more lines for Sunday. But anyways, so all the books have him heavily favored to go under. Devontae Adams heavily favored to go over. Aaron Jones heavily favored to go under. A lot of reception plays in general. So all of these will also just show up on the Fantasy Optimizer, and it may be like, damn, there's a lot of bets. But again, there's not. Underdog Fantasy, PrizePicks, there are tens of thousands of lines on each of these platforms. If you look at Underdog, how is this website all the time is not responding? But if you look at Underdog, right, there are tens of thousands of lines, different things you can bet. So OddsJam is just reading in all the data and pointing out the rare few betting opportunities that actually have an edge, right? Which hopefully we found on Underdog Fantasy earlier. Where did my 5-pick entry go? Oh, here it is. Yeah, $20 max bet size. Bullshit. But there weren't that many good bets on Underdog. There wasn't that much value in the market. You're kind of like a hedge fund. You're searching for those investments, the rare quantity of investments or whatever that actually have an edge. But anyways, Devontae Adams looks great. There's some esports plays that look great. Cortland Sutton under 4.5. Keldon Johnson, bunch of different options. Aaron Jones, anything on PrizePicks. Again, these payouts are slightly different. PrizePicks versus Underdog Fantasy. So on PrizePicks for 5-pick entries, you have to win. On PrizePicks for 5-pick entries, you got to win your over-unders above 54.2% of the time. On Underdog, it was 54.7%. So there's slight nuances from book to book, but it's the same overall strategy, right? This play would look great on PrizePicks. Garrett Wilson over 5.5 receptions. All the data supports it. All the books, including Pinnacle, the sharpest bookmaker out there, have his over super heavily favored, -178. So this would be a great play on PrizePicks, but it's not available on PrizePicks. But you can see there is a bunch of bets available on PrizePicks. Sutton under, Aaron Jones under, Adams over, Puka under. And sometimes you can find plays that pair well together. So by that, I mean, obviously, if you want to take Dak Prescott over in passing yards, and you can also find some value on CeeDee Lamb, his receiver, over in receiving yards, those things pair well together. They're positively correlated. PrizePicks always gives you the same damn payout, right? If you make a 3-pick entry, I don't know why this site's so janky. So let's go back here. So PrizePicks always gives you the same payout, right? Like we've been over that a bunch of times. You're always getting what is wrong with the site? Anyways, you're always getting a 3x payout. Doesn't matter if you take CD over or under. So obviously, if you take Dak over, probably makes sense to take CD Lamb over, right? That's his main target. If Dak has a great game, if he balls out, 3x once PrizePicks loads. They're moving slow today. If Dak goes over, CD Lamb's more likely to go over. So those plays pair well together. Anyways, and there's some good bets on FanDuel as well. Like I'll drop on Twitter occasionally, plays on WinBet, DraftKings, FanDuel, Caesars. I just try to focus on Fliff. There's good bets on every book. There's 215 sports books on OddsJam. There's a shit ton of value out there. A bunch of good plays on FanDuel, soccer bets. But, at least on these live streams, I prefer to focus on like Underdog, PrizePicks, Fliff, because they're legal in the most states. It just makes sense. They're available in the most locations, even though there's a bunch of good bets on FanDuel. On FanDuel, actually, one of my most profitable, my most profitable sport is soccer. Like, look at this play. It's like Pinnacle, the sharpest bookmaker, and it's European, so like they have a soccer focus. They've ripped this under all the way down to plus 137. FanDuel chilling at plus 172. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, granted, this game is still 8 days away. So like the power of sports betting is your ROI in general is daily, right? If you place a bet, like with a 2% profit margin and you're betting every day, like if you have a 2% ROI on your MLB bets, there's 162 games in the regular season. You compound, like if you're betting on the MLB with a 2% profit margin, that's 328% or 324. Whereas in the NFL, there's not that many games. So if you're only placing bets on Sunday and you have a 2% ROI or edge or return on investment, whatever you want to call it, on your bets, you're only betting on the NFL, you're only placing bets on Sunday, your ROI is going to be over the course of a season like 32% or whatever, 16 games, not including the postseason. So a lot of soccer bets on FanDuel. So again, I in general like to focus on games ideally tomorrow or within a couple days, like betting on stuff really far away. Granted, this is only 8 days, but you'd rather have a bet with a 4% profit margin for tomorrow as opposed to for a week away. But anyways, so this play looks great. I mean, the total is ripping. Again, all these books set their own lines. So you can see all the books, including Pinnacle, the sharpest bookmaker out there, they've all ripped, right, this line heavily towards the over, right? Bet Online, Circa, Pinnacle. These are all very sharp sports books. These are 3 of the sharpest bookmakers out there. They've all ripped the over to minus 205, minus 200. Fliff is sitting there at minus 175. It's yeah, I think I want to pick that up, right? So what we can do is we can go here, and I hope they let me bet it again. So here we go. And there we go. 1% profit margin. So again, I really view my sports betting as I solely follow the data. I never bet with my gut. I place a bunch of bets with a mathematical edge. I let the math work itself out. I place some arbitrage bets, make some free money when I can, like this play on Joshua Kelly. Again, there's a shit ton of books. Just Google what books are legal in my location, in your state. It's probably a Reddit thread, California, whatever. There's so many sports books in every location available for arbitrage betting, making risk-free money sports betting. I'm limited on most of these books. I don't even use that many of them. I'm not even in a good state with a lot of sports books. And, still there's decent plays, easily can make a couple $100 a day arbitrage betting if you put in the time and just even have a relatively small bankroll. You definitely can. So you can see some NBA plays popping up for tomorrow. But anyways, I'll call it a day for now. A lot of good plays available. And, thanks so much for your time.